Ladies and gentlemen, Capital G back at it with Torens, Fist of the Angels, our first deck tech of 2022. Before we dive into the deck, as you can see, I got a nice little banner up here. Please like and subscribe, especially subscribe. I would like to get to the magic number of 1,000. I know I have a long way to go, mainly because I've never really pushed for the likes and the subs before. But I've decided I would like to monetize the channel and make some, a little bit of extra change for myself and for the Discord group, Dungeons and Cardboard. Come join the group. I'm one of the admins on that group. It's our LGS, away from our LGS. Great people, great times. And of course, you might run into Bulldog and he might want to record some EDH gameplay for us for his YouTube channel and his Twitch. So his details will be in the description below as well. And how was everyone's holidays, by the way? I had a great time, lots of good food, lots of good company, and of course, great loot. So hope everyone had a good holiday season. But you know what? The holidays are long gone. So let us dive in to Torens, Fist of the Angels. Which, I mean, when you look at the art on some of this, especially this is the black and white art from the Crimson Vow set. And even though his creature type is human cleric, I wouldn't be surprised if you made him angry enough and he just kind of lifted his mace and goes, "I have the power!" and go all Masters of the Universe on us. But yes, human cleric, white, green, and 1. So Selesnya deck. I don't do Selesnya 2/2 often. 2/2 with training. Whenever he attacks, if it's with another creature with more power than him, he gets +1/+1 counter. Okay. And whenever you cast a creature spell, get a 1/1 green and white human soldier creature token with training. So tokens that start off as 1/1s but get bigger the more often they attack. I like it. So when I was researching the deck, I noticed a lot of focus on the human tribal synergies, whereas I wanted to focus more on the cast trigger and some of the synergies that go along with that. You'll see what I have in mind as we go. We're gonna start with our creatures today, since that's what he wants, and I've got 30 of them in the deck. Starting with the Upzon Falconer. Creatures we control for 1/1 counter on them have flying. The Avacyn's Pilgrim, a perfect dork, because pay a green, put this down, I have access to my white. Beast Whisperer, cast a creature spell, draw a card. We're going to be casting lots of creatures. The Carhar Commando. This common is an all-star coming out of Midnight Hunt. So 2 mana for this 3/1 with flash. So you can flash this in, block a 3 toughness creature, and trade. Alternatively, you can flash this in for 2 mana and then pay 1 and sack it to destroy an artifact or an enchantment. Super flexible card. Love it. It's been turning heads in the games that I play. The Champion of Lampholt. Of course, we're playing lots of creatures, so the Champion's going to get humongous and make our team unblockable, such is the plan. Crashing Drawbridge. A colorless way of giving the whole team haste. Sure thing. Running a Deadly Recluse. This is for defense because I don't have a lot of flying going on, so let's block and trade with a flyer, shall we? The Dryad Militant. 2/1. Whenever an instant or sorcery card would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. Doesn't matter if it's milled, or cast, or countered, or what. We don't care about our instants or sorceries, but our opponents do. So, Dryad of the Elysian Grove. Green and 2 for this 2/4. That lets us play additional lands on our turns, and lands we control are every basic land type. Which means while this is in play, all our lands can tap for either white or green. We're not going to need the other colors, of course. But I do want the perfect mana for some of the things we want to do. Enlightened Ascetic. 2 mana for this 1/1 Cat Monk. Destroys an enchantment when it enters the battlefield. Fleetfoot Panther. This 3/4 for a white, a green, and 1 has flash, and when this enters the battlefield, return a green or white creature you control to its owner's hand. Now, generally speaking, you cast the Fleetfoot Panther, you bring the Fleetfoot Panther back to your hand. So for 2 mana, we're getting repeated cast triggers off of our commander. That is what we're doing with this deck. And there's other examples of this. Not too many, there's not a lot of them, but there are other examples of this as we go forward. Also, here's an example of a blunt object, Galta. We're going to have so many creatures that it'll be easy to reduce this thing's cost all the way down to double green. Easily. And we just need a big dumb creature sometimes. Heronblade Elite. 3 mana, that's a green and 2 for this human warrior. 1/1 with Vigilance. Whenever another human enters the battlefield under your control, this gets a 1/1 counter. Torens tokens are humans, so even if the rest of the deck doesn't contain a lot of humans, Torens makes them for us, so not a problem there. And tap, add X mana of any one color where X is Heronblade Elite's power. You really gotta slow down when you say that name, let me tell you. Ivy, Lane, Denizen. Green and 3 for this 2/3. Whenever another green creature, i.e. Torrens tokens, enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Juniper Order Ranger, similar deal. White, green, and 3 for this 2/4 human knight. And whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, it gets a +1/+1 counter, and the Juniper Order Ranger gets a +1/+1 counter. Karmic Guide is here. Flying, protection from black, and of course recurring a creature from our graveyard, because why not? Going with Moon Blessed Cleric. This is a card that's actually impressed people also. Like I said, a white and 2 for this 3/2, and when this enters the battlefield, we get to search our library for an enchantment card, put it on top of our library. So we set up our next card draw. The Prosperous Innkeeper, 2 mana for this 1/1 Halfling Citizen. It's a Soul Sister, because whenever a creature comes to the battlefield under their control, we gain a life. Oh, and by the way, we also get a treasure. So it's a little bit of one-shot ramp for us too. The Reclamation Sage destroys an artifact or enchantment. Reviarch, of course, we already saw our Karmic Guide, so Reviarch is here to pair up with that and bring some creatures back from our graveyard. Seraph, the Viper's Fang. Green, green, and 2 for this 3/4 human warlock. Other tapped creatures you control have Death Touch. So this thing is a monster. I've noticed, by the way. Other untapped creatures you control have Hexproof. And then 1 and tap another target creature or land you control. So 1, tap this, untap a land or a creature. Sure. We're going to be generating a bunch of tokens. So Shana, Sesei's Legacy, is a nice big beater for us. A white and a green for this human warrior that gets +1/+1 for each creature we control. Stonecloaker, another example of a creature that we can bounce back and forth from our hand. So a white and 2 for this 3/2 gargoyle with flash and flying, and when it enters the battlefield, return a creature we control to its owner's hand. And when this enters the battlefield, exile a card from your graveyard. So incidentally, also some graveyard hate. Sun Titan, because of course Sun Titan. Most of our creatures are really, really cheap, so if we get to the mid game, we draw our Sun Titan, go nuts. Running Sunscape Familiar, we're actually going to be running a lot of cost reduction. So green spells and blue spells, we're not casting any blue spells, but green spells cost us 1 less to play. Thornscape Familiar, similar deal. White spells we play cost 1 less. Vesperlark, we do have a lot of 1-power creatures, so I figured this was worth running. Wayfaring Temple, white, green, and 1 for this Star. Power and toughness equal to the number of creatures we control. And when this deals combat damage to a player, populate. So this is going to be a big beater for us. It's going to help us fuel the training. Yep, perfect synergy here. Also for perfect synergy, Welcoming Vampire. Whenever another creature with power 2 or less enter the battlefield under our control, we get to draw a card. Yes, once per turn, but we have some flash creatures, so we can trigger it every turn in concept. And even then, just once per turn, that's pretty much any time we cast a creature while our commander's on the battlefield, we are drawing a card. Good card momentum. Whitemane Lion, this is the all-star, white and 1. Only 2 mana for this one, the others were 3. This is only 2 mana and only needs a white. So for a white and 1, 2/2 cat with flash, when this enters the battlefield, return a creature to its owner's hand. Alright, so we talked about our creatures. Let's go on to artifacts and then enchantments. So because we're casting a lot of creatures, I'm playing a few of the monuments. So I'm playing Bantu's Monument. No, we're not running any black creatures, so we don't get that cost reduction. But whenever we cast a creature spell, each opponent loses a life and we gain a life. Yes. Cloudstone Curio. So if we don't get the creatures that can bounce themselves, we can use this to, play a creature, bounce another creature, and just cycle it that way. And combo off that way, make our army humongous. The Dragon Throne of Tarkir. Even if our commander is only a 3 or 4 power creature, you throw this on there, and we have a repeatable overrun. Emerald Medallion to reduce the cost of green spells by 1. Hazard's Monument reduces red creatures' cost, so we don't get any benefit there. But whenever we cast a creature spell, we may discard a card to draw a card, so good card movement here as well. The Idol of Oblivion. 2-mana artifact, tap to draw a card only if we've created a token this turn, which that's what our deck does. This can also be cashed in for a 10-10 Eldrazi at some point if we need it. Konda's Banner. With our return to Kamigawa imminent. Figure this is an appropriate piece of equipment. 2 mana to cast, 2 to equip. Can only be attached to a legendary creature, ideally our commander. Creatures that share a color get +1/+1, and creatures that share a type get +1/+1. Nice. Oketra's Monument. Now this one we do get a cost reduction from. Our white creature spells will be 1 less to cast. And whenever we cast a creature spell, create a 1/1 white warrior creature token with vigilance. So they don't have the training, but it's still generating even more tokens for us. Pearl Medallion to further reduce our white spells by 1. Ronus's Monument reduces our green creature spells by 1. And whenever we cast a creature spell, target creature we control gets +2/+2 in trample, which is amazing. The monuments, like I said, I'm running 4 of them. The blue one is not so great, but the rest are amazing, especially here in a deck that's, trying to cast the same creature over and over on the same turn. Skull Clamp, cash in our tokens for cards when we need it, sure thing. And Whisper Silk Cloak. This is specifically to protect our commander. We're going to throw it on our commander, make him unblockable and untargetable. Because we're not targeting our commander with anything, so I am totally okay with running this card here. And also, he only really does his thing when he's attacking, so we want him to turn sideways. Moving on to our enchantments. We want to protect our creatures, so our first pick will be Asceticism. Asceticism. Good luck pronouncing that one right the first time. Green, green, and 3 for this enchantment. Creatures you control gain hexproof. It wasn't keyworded here, but that's what it is. And green and 1 to regenerate target creature. So somebody board wipes, unless it specifically says that you cannot regenerate, you can protect your board. Running the Beastmaster Ascension because it'll be super easy for us to swing out with 7 creatures all at once. Carhar's Crusade. Super easy for us to, have our army become humongous. Guardian Project, of course. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. Because none of my creatures have the same name as each other, so perfect. Hardened Scales to get more +1/+1 counters on the cheap. Primeval Bounty. This one's a little win more, I guess. If we end up in the mid game, it's a good add. Whenever we cast a creature spell, get a 3/3 beast. Whenever we cast a non-creature spell, put 3 1/1 counters on a creature we control. And whenever a land enters the battlefield under our control, we gain 3 life. So we have this out, and it'll propel us to the mid game to the end game. Sigarda's Summon. Again, we have an army on the board. This is a great finisher, turning all of our creatures with 1/1 counters on them into 4/4s, with the 1/1 counter still on them. Perfect. And of course, Sylvan Anthem, double green. Green creatures you control get +1/+1, so a nice little anthem effect. And whenever a green creature enters the battlefield under our control, i.e. our tokens, we get a scry. So I thought those were good adds here. Moving on to our instants. A workhorse out of Modern Horizons 2, Blacksmith Skill. People slept on this one, I think, but I I love this card. It takes people by surprise every time. 1 white, target permanent gains hexproof at indestructible until end of turn. We don't have any artifact creatures, so I'm not too worried about the buff. It's not here for the buff, it's here to protect our creature. Druid's Deliverance, Fog a Combat Step, and Populate. Eladamri's Call. We want our Whitemane Lion. This is here specifically as a second copy of Whitemane Lion. Enlightened Tutor goes against some of our artifacts or enchantments as we need it. The Heroic Intervention, of course, to hexproof and indestructible our board. Rite of Harmony. Whenever a creature or enchantment enters the battlefield under our control, this turn, draw a card. So we cast this, then we cast a couple of creatures and get some card advantage that way. It does have flashback if we need it. Rootborn Defenses, again, make the board indestructible, and we get to populate. Sundering Growth, destroy an artifact or enchantment and populate. Swords, always good to have swords. And Sylvan Reclamation, we can basic land cycle this, or we can exile up to 2 artifacts or enchantments at instant speed. Sorceries now, just 4. Running the Farseek to go get a plains. Rampant Growth to go get a basic. 3 visits to go get a forest. And Time of Need to go get a legendary creature. That just leaves our lands, doesn't it? So let's go through the mana base. And I tried to make my mana base in such a way that it's easy to get both colors. So running things like Arctic Treeline, bunch of the dual lands, 35 lands in total, by the way. Bountiful Promenade, running the Brushland, the Painland. Canopy Vista, this is great. It's got both the land types too, so that we can tutor this out. Command Tower, of course. 10 forests. A fortified village. Grey Pelt Refuge for the 1 point of life gain. Running Okina, Temple to the Grandfathers, in case we need to make our Torens a little bit bigger to buff the rest of our training tokens. Overgrown Farmland. The Path of Ancestry. Anytime we cast a human, we get to scry. 9 Plains. A Rogue's Passage. Scattered Grove. Again, has the land types, or we can cycle it away. Sunpetal Grove. This is amazing. As long as you already control a forest or plains, this comes into play untapped. I love these lands. Temple Garden for the shock. Temple of Plenty for the scry. And Wooded Bastion, which we can filter into any combination of double green, double white, or white and green. And that is our Torens deck. Torens Fist of the Angels. What you all think? I was really focusing on that casting the creature spell, going really, really wide. I didn't care as much about the human synergies as other versions of the deck do, but it's not the wrong way to go by any means, but I really wanted to combo off and just go wide. So that's my line of thinking here. So what do you all think? Have you got any cool card suggestions? Be sure to leave those in the comments. And of course, remember to like and sub, and remember to join the Discord group and come play some EDH with myself and a lot of really, really cool people. Your LGS away from your LGS. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll catch you next time. Bye for now.